he literally told me, you're gonna feel like a fraud every day, and you're just gonna pray that nobody finds out until you retire. And I was like, I don't want to feel that way. Like, I already feel that way right now. I was so like, I mean, I was happy that I was not the only one that was going through that, but I didn't want to feel like I was a fraud for the rest of my life until I retire. That, like, that's just ridiculous. Assalamu alaikum. Hi everybody, welcome back. If you are already subscribed, thank you, I appreciate you. If you are a new person watching this video, welcome to the family. So as you can tell from the title, in today's video we are going to talk about imposter syndrome, aka the fraud syndrome. Okay, so imposter syndrome is something I have personally dealt with. Some of my friends have dealt with it, some of my family members, and I know a lot of you out there have dealt with it too. So I asked you guys on my Instagram if you guys wanted me to post about imposter syndrome this week versus personal statement tips, and you guys said imposter syndrome, so here is the video. So what is imposter syndrome? Imagine when you're at the airport, and you guys, I'm sure at one point in your life you felt this. You packed your own bags, you know everything that's in your bag to the T, but then when you're going through the TSA, suddenly you start thinking about, what if I have a drug in my bag? Or what if I have a knife in my bag? Or what if I have a gun that I didn't even know I owned? What if it's in my bag? So it's like you're shaking the whole time you're going through the TSA. And then when you pass through, you're like, I'm glad there was nothing there. There's nothing in your bag. It's just your clothes and the stuff that you put in your bag. Like, imposter syndrome is like that, but every freaking single day. You're like, oh my gosh, they're gonna find out any moment now. And just, you know, related to that story, one time I was actually, my PA school was in Northern California and I lived in Benicia. So I took an Uber from Benicia to San Francisco Airport, SFO. I was flying back home, and don't even ask me how much that Uber cost. Oh my goodness. Anyway, so my Uber driver was a retired physician assistant. He was like an older guy. I know, right? It was like crazy. And it was my first year of PA school, and I'm here, you know, in an Uber with a retired PA. So I asked him, like, what was it like practicing? And I was just like super excited to hear his story. And he literally told me, you're gonna feel like a fraud every day, and you're just gonna pray that nobody finds out until you retire. And I was like, I don't want to feel that way. Like, I already feel that way right now. I was so like, I mean, I was happy that I was not the only one that was going through that, but I didn't want to feel like I was a fraud for the rest of my life until I retire. That, like, that's just ridiculous. So imposter syndrome is basically when a person doubts their skills, their talents, their accomplishments, and they have this internalized fear that somebody is going to expose them as a fraud. So they are always in this constant fear, despite the fact that they have all the evidence that they have accomplished, their success is theirs, the merit is, you know, rightly so deserved. They don't see all that external evidence. They're just constantly in fear that somebody's going to find out that they're a fraud. So who are the most common people that experience this? Typically, you know, women and minority students, you know, first generations, whether they're in high school, in college, working, these high achieving people are the ones that usually, you know, experience that. They don't believe that, you know, they deserve what they have, or like they earned what they have, or they earned that position of power, or that, you know, grade that they have, or that school that they got in. They're in constantly, you know, so if you ask somebody with an imposter syndrome, and you guys can relate to this, if you do, comment down below. Is when you tell them, oh my God, you know, you must be, you know, so proud of yourself, you actually accomplished this. They will give you a response such as, oh, it was just luck. I don't know how it happened. I guess I just got lucky. Instead of saying, you know what, like, I worked for this and I put in the hours and I am so proud of myself too. Like, just think of how you feel between those two responses, like saying, I just got lucky, versus owning your success and your achievement. So personally, like, when was the time that I most felt imposter syndrome? For me, it was in PA school. I am, I'm a first generation college student. My parents didn't go to school. None of my family members are in medicine or went to, graduate programs. So I was always trying to find the way myself, and I would always question my success and where I'm at. It's like, I didn't believe that I was actually there. And I'm always like, how did I make it here? One of those days somebody's gonna find out that I don't belong here. And thinking back, it hurts. Like, it's hurtful that I actually felt that way, because when, in comparison to my classmates, I was working as hard as they were, if not even more. I put in the hours in undergrad, I did those interviews, I got selected. Schools don't say, oh my God, let's just pick this person. They look at your application, and they look at your past, and they look at you as a person right now. And when they're interviewing you, they're just selecting people that they think will succeed. And I was selected for a reason, and I had no reason to doubt that. But in the back of my mind, that doubt was always there. So if there's one thing that I want you guys to get from this video, is how do you overcome imposter syndrome? How do you accept that you do belong there and those achievements are yours? What are some of the steps that you can take? So there are few things that I did that personally worked for me. I'm sure there are a lot more on the internet if you search, ways to overcome imposter syndrome. But for me, these are the things that I did that were the most helpful for me. And I think it will benefit you guys too. So what do you do when you have all these doubts in your head? So what I did was, every day, I made a point that I am going to recognize what the triggers were. When do I feel the most vulnerable? When do I feel this is just the time that I'm gonna get caught, right? So I try to think of those times, and I'll just write it down, what was I doing before that led me to be in this position right now. So just me recognizing that was a big step, because every time I felt that way, I would start tracking my success, everything that I did to that point that got me to the position that I was at that point. So when I was in school, I would say, okay, no need to feel like a fraud, because you have bachelor's degrees and you did that on your own. Nobody helped you. Well, of course, God helped me a lot. I prayed a lot. But I did put in the hours and the time and the sleepless nights and the stress of the exams. So nobody handed it to me. I didn't cheat my way through the system to get to that point. And I went through the interview, and I went through the application, and I'll just write it all down. And then I would tell myself, these are what I needed to do to get to this point. So I'm not a fraud. I am exactly where I'm supposed to be at this very moment. So those are the first two things, right? You recognize the trigger, and then you track your success and the steps that you took to get to that point. The third thing that I did is I would talk to people that I trusted, my family members and my close friends. I will tell them exactly what I was feeling, and 99% of the time people will say, oh my God, I feel that way too. And that just automatically made me feel better. Oh, okay, I'm not the only one that's going through this. Other people feel this way too, and I'm not, hiding anything, basically. So just that weight off your shoulder, makes you feel lighter. And just talking through things in general, regardless of what it is, when something is bothering you and you talk about it, you feel better. You just have to make sure you talk to somebody that you truly trust. So that is 3. The fourth thing is, honestly, I talk to myself so many times you would think I'm crazy. Like, I would go to the bathroom and I will look myself in the eyes and I would celebrate me. I'm like, whoa, like you just did that. Like whenever I got my I will take an exam, and if I did good, I'll be like, you just did that, Firdosa. Oh my God, congratulations. And random times I will just look at myself in the mirror and I'm like, you accomplished this. You're well accomplished. I mean, you got here based on your own merits. Like, I will constantly remind myself. I talk to myself so much that I hyped myself a whole lot, and to the points where I feel like my confidence and my own positive self-talk outweighed the negative, voice in the background, the negative, thoughts that would constantly pop into my head. Like, it just kept getting smaller and smaller and smaller to the point where it wouldn't even come to my mind anymore. Like, and I feel like another thing that helped is the fact that I celebrate my failures too. I was never a person that was afraid to fail. Like, everybody fails. Like, if somebody said I have never failed in my life, I would be like, right, okay, keep believing that. Because at one point or another, you will fail, and that's okay. That is part of life. Everybody fails. What you do after that is what matters most. If you cry about that and drag yourself on the floor, you will basically traumatize yourself. But if you say, you know what, that's okay, I failed these things, and what I'm gonna do is I'll go back to it and see what I did wrong and where I need to correct it, and I will do better the next time. And 100% of the time you will do better. Even if you fail the second time, you will still do better. You will still be better than the first time you failed. You will fail better the second time, is what I'm trying to say. And you just keep repeating until you pass or you succeed in whatever you're doing. So doing that, hyping myself and accepting my failures and accepting my success and not being afraid to talk about all of it. Like, not hiding anything. Just as much as I talked about my success, I'll talk about my failure too. Like, I'm gonna tell you right now, I failed so many exams in PA school, and that wasn't the end of it. Of course, it hurt the most the first time that I failed, but the second time that I failed, it was better. I didn't feel as bad. And the third time I failed, I was like, okay, I mean, what's new? I failed before, it's not the first time, and I got over that, and I'm gonna get over this again. So now if I fail, it's like, okay, I expect failures as much as I expect success. So really, that comes down to knowing yourself, right? You have to know your limits, you have to know what you're capable of, you have to know what you've done before that worked for you, what you can do to better yourself. That everything I just said combined is what helped me get over imposter syndrome. Just in summary, now, what is the things that I did? Talk to others. Talk about your emotions and how you're feeling. Track your success. Track the triggers. Know when those feelings are coming about. Track your failures as well, and fail better each time until you succeed. And celebrate yourself and your accomplishments. If you don't celebrate yourself, who is going to celebrate you, first of all? And one thing that you will notice is when you love yourself and you are proud of yourself, other people will be proud of you too, because your energy is just oozing, and that's what they are absorbing. But if you're harsh on yourself and you drag yourself down on the floor, people will still absorb that energy. So just put out good vibes and good energy, and it will come back in many forms. I really hope this video was helpful to you. If you guys have another topic that you want me to talk about, go ahead and comment down below, or you can message me on Instagram. If you know anybody that's going to benefit from this, go ahead and share. If you liked what you just heard and you want to see more videos, go ahead and subscribe. Thank you. In the next video, we are going to talk about personal statements, so stay tuned.